All right, so to achieve the look for this dress, I am going to measure. Say, let's pretend this is the fabric. So I'm going to measure from the shoulder down. Of course, for the fabric, I'm using 10, okay, for the length. Now, what I'm going to do here is to first measure the armhole, which is 3 inches down, okay? So I'm going to put a line right there for 3 inches, okay? Next up, to achieve the the chest area, I am going with 5. So this is just perfect. I'm putting a mark right there. And like I said, I'm going to measure all the way down to 10. This is for the dress length before adding the ruffles at the bottom, the pleats at the bottom. Now, for the back, I'm working with 6. So for the back, I am going to measure for 3.5. That will be in addition to the sewing allowance. Now what I'm going to do here is to connect that 3.5 point to the chest line. Okay, now remember this line that I first drew. All right, so I'm going to measure 3.5 inches at the top. Now this is in order to cut the sleeves, okay? So I'm going to go down 3 inches, 3.5 inches, and 3 inches down, connecting it to the chest line. So what I'm going to do up here is what I'm going to do at the top is to give it a slanted shape at the top, because you don't want the shoulder to be a straight shoulder. We want it to be slightly slanted. So what I'm going to do now is to cut out this shape, okay? I'm going to cut out this part because this is the hump O. And for the neck, I am measuring down 2 inches, okay? And 2 and 1 inch on the side, okay? Again, I am going to connect the 1 inch to the 1 inch. To the 2 inches, okay? 1 inch down, 2 inches. All right, so what I'm going to do next is to cut this part out. I'm tracing this part and cutting it out. Okay. See, instead of making it a box cut, I'm making it a curve. You see it? Then for the armhole, I am doing the same thing. Okay, like that. All right, you see? And this is for the shoulder where I have the slanted shape. You see how it's not necessarily straight and it's not all the way slanted as well. So that's what we have. Now for the bottom part, if you can see the mark right where I measured, I'm going to trace that part as well. Now this is a paper, so it's not, if it's the actual fabric, I'm actually going to add a little bit more inches at the bottom, preferably a 0.5 inches allowance, just to have the sewing extra space for the sewing. So now what I'm going to do next is to transfer my paper onto my fabric and cut out what I need. And also I am going to measure out the bottom part. Okay, now, so for the bottom part, it's pretty easy. So what you want to do is to take your fabric and you want to fold it into 2, okay? So what you want to do for this part is to measure out 4 inches down, and I believe this is already 4 inches. You want to measure 4 inches down, strip down, and about, say, 20 inches all around for the fabric, depending on what you have. So you want to, for me, I am working with the waist is 18 inches, so my fabric will be 36 inches in total. So you want to get 20, my apologies, you want to measure your fabric to be about 40 inches in terms of the is it a width? In terms of the amount of fabric that you choose to, that you decide on cutting. So this is what you want it to be. You want it to be like this, but you want it to be longer, depending on the size of the dress that you're making. So let's pretend that this is 40 inches long and 4 inches in terms of the length. So when I'm done, we are going to pleat it like so, okay? pleat it like so, and we're finished, hem the bottom. So that's pretty much it, guys. Pretty simple. Again, if you're
Alright. Okay, so I have the satin fabric and I have this African print fabric on the side. Now the African print will be the ruffles and the satin will be the body of the dress. And I'm going to start by cutting. Now here is the pattern, front and back. Okay, as you can see, the shoulders slanted. Okay, V-neck. All right, so now I am going to sew it. So here is the inside that I just attached, the front and the back. Now I'm going to attach this to the bottom part. Okay. Okay, so after measuring out the African print, I realized that I do not have enough to create to have to the bottom and to the neck as well. So I am just going to use the leftover from the satin fabric to create the bottom part. Okay, so now I am going to measure out about 4 inches. Okay, so I'm going to measure out 4 inches out of this, and that's what I'm going to use to have to the bottom to create the frills. All right, so here I am having the ruffles at the bottom. All right, so here's what I have so far for the bottom. Okay. Okay, so now I am going to hem it like this. I'm going to turn it in like that and sew over it. All right, now this part, as you can see, I started making the pleats for the neck, for the front part. Okay, now I'm using this print because I do not have enough of the satin fabric, so I figure I'll just add the print fabric for the neck part. So right now I am just going along by making the pleat forward, sewing it down like that. All right, guys, here we have it. All right, pleated and nice at the neck, at the bottom. I just have to give it some steam and it should be good to go. And by the way, this is for a 1-year-old, okay? Again, guys, thank you for watching, and until next time, stay blessed.